All right, run this nice Camry here. This person just bought this car, hasn't really driven it yet. Um, Gonna get a few problems worked out on before we start driving it. Anyway, it had I thought it needed an oil pan gasket because someone did a real hack job on the oil pan, really caked on the sealant. I'm not sure where my light's at. And anyway, I got it up in the air. I was looking at it, watching it while I was running. It was actually running above the oil pan on the corner, on the back lower corner there, which if you're familiar with these Toyotas, that's where your oil pump's at. So I went ahead and pulled the front of the engine apart, where the timing components are at, because I was 100% sure it wasn't leaking from the oil pan right there. So I don't know if you can see down in there. That's where the oil pump usually resides. You have to pull your timing components off, and it bolts right here to the block, 10mm bolts. Anyway, this is what's going on with it. This gasket is supposed to be like a rubber gasket, and it's gone. Like, it's just flat. It's not pliable. And where it was leaking at in the corner here, it's just basically disintegrating. You can see pieces of it peeling off. So anyway, these gaskets, I don't think they're very expensive. Of course, you got to tear your engine down to get to it. But I'm gonna order this, and then there's another gasket to seal. So we're gonna pull this gear off, sprocket, and there's a little oil seal behind this. We'll replace that too while we have it off. Maybe clean this up a little bit, but it was this for sure. This gasket here, and then it's dripping down on the exhaust. It kind of stinks when you're driving it. And I was kind of looking at it. It looks like it might be the valve cover because it's coming high and then coming down. So I gotta investigate that a little bit closer, and then we're gonna put an axle in it, of course. Passenger side axle, but that'll be a separate video. But I just wanted to kind of show, if your Toyota 22 is leaking oil and it's at the oil pan at the front and the back corner, it's probably this. It's pretty common for these to wear out, especially 230,000 miles. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a new belt on it while it's apart. And the other thing too, this has the old spring on it. This is the tensioner spring, and they have an updated one. That's the 10 coil spring right there, and they got a 13 coil spring they want you to update to. So I'm going to try to relocate this spring here and change that real quick before I put the timing belt back on. And so anyway, that's where we're at. When I get the parts, I'll take this apart and kind of show you what's behind here if you're going to try to do this repair, and or you have the same problem with leaking oil. It's not leaking on that seal right now, but while you have it off, you might as well change it. I'm sure it's only a couple bucks at the most. So that's where I'm at on this Toyota. I'll get the parts, and then we'll meet back up, and by magic of video, you won't have to wait at all, but we'll meet back up, and I'll take this pulley off and show you that seal. Alright, so here's the new gasket, and you can see it's rubber, and it's real malleable. This is the old one again, and if I twist this, you can see it's basically falling apart. It's no good. So what we're going to do next is take this off and just take a impact and pull this nut off, and then this gear will pop out. Alright, once you get that nut off, this will pop out, and then this shaft will pull out, and you'll be down to your seal here. And we got the new one here, so just get a seal puller behind there, or whatever you can get, whatever you have, even a small screwdriver. Pop this one out, and then we'll clean it up and pop this one back in. Here's the old one. Is also really dry rotted and falling apart also. So the new one, you just set on top of there and put an oversized socket a little bit bigger than the seal and drive it down until it's flush. And then put it back together, just the opposite. Just put it on the shaft, put the sprocket back on, and tighten it. On this sprocket, you notice there's a flat spot right there that lines up with the flat spot on the shaft. Otherwise it won't go on right. So make sure you line those up before you tighten the nut. Alright, so there it is back up into the engine. You know, you got to lock this into the block, and then the seal goes into the block first, which is kind of awkward. I wish they would have made the groove on the actual pump itself, but they didn't. So you got to use a little bit. I use a little bit of the gray stuff to just kind of tack the seal up there and hold it, and then you just you know, engage the pump, and then tighten your bolts back up, and that should fix any leaks you have coming out of your oil pump there on these Toyotas. So basically, I just put the belt back on and put it all back together and test it, and move on from there. But that's the if you got a pretty good oil leak on the front of your engine on a Toyota, towards the back by the axle, more than likely it's the seal. They dry out and just crack and kind of deteriorate over time on these oil pumps. So that's what it is. You're going to have to take your timing belt off and do all that good stuff to get down to it. And that's not too bad of a job, though. I mean, we're going to go ahead and replace the timing belt since we're already in here. And anyway, I got more work to do on this car. I got to do axle, a few other things, so I'm going to move it along. But just wanted to show replacing the seals on the oil pump on a nice Camry with a 2.2. And if you like this video or learned anything from it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Thanks.